Empower who?
Empower me!
So I think like one other time when I was a little bit older, I went to visit because she moved a different place. And I went to visit, but I didn't really stay with her. We had to stay with like me, and my partner at the time was like staying with her family. So, I mean, that was always a thing. Like when I'm dating someone, I tend to get involved with their family because there is some type of support there as well. So
I can't only imagine that. It's like
It's
pretty awkward.
Yeah.
It's awkward, but at the same time, I feel like it helps you with your extroverted skills because you're meeting these people. You have to kind of connect with them. You have to, and not even in a sense where I would want you to feel like you're using these people, but I feel like it's a mutual thing. It's I don't know. What's the relationship where it's
symbiotic?
like, yes, like they have to feed off of each other to thrive kind of thing. So,
but I think the toxic thing in those relationships, especially, it's the other side of it. It's kind of like I tend to gravitate towards people who are super controlling, who feel like they saved me and they need to help me. And sometimes when it's overbearing and it's like, I need to be my own person, that is not a thing in those relationships because it's like I opened my family up to you, I did all these things for you, and sometimes those relationships I just feel like I have to date different people and in a different time where I'm more stable because that's what really came from those relationships, especially being like introverted and then having to like, not that I had a problem with it, not that I was using them, but it was just a lot so soon. Yeah. And then that person has like this weird controlling entitlement over your whole entire existence. Like, I did all of this for you because you are our foster care youth, Oh, wow. So that becomes a stigma. And I've only been in 2 really, really serious relationships. So that's always been like the energy, Wow. And it's so hard to get out of that cycle of people who feel like they did something for you. And I'll tell people all the time, just because you do good things doesn't mean you're a good person. Like, you pity me, and that's why you feel like you did something for me. But it's like, I don't know. It's really hard to find genuine people because I don't know how to build those like established relationships. That's not like...
That was something you was taught?
Yeah, like that's not something I taught out of some type of trauma or like why am I attracted to this person? And then later you're like, sounds familiar,
Yeah. Very trial and error in that. Because, and I feel you on like meeting genuine people because I don't know if y'all get this vibe from me, but I'm just a very open book. I'm not like a secretive person. I'm like, put good vibes out, you get good vibes back. And I've been used in pretty much every relationship I've been in, except one. And it's like, even if I know that's where it's heading or that's what's happening, or even if I was blindsided, it's like, I did nothing to you. If anything, I was here, I loved you, I respected you, I treated you a certain type of way. Me of all people, why would you shit on me? So it's just like, genuine people out in the world, where are you? We here. Hello. Like,
and then it's kind of like also just having the backstory that I have, there's like this weird manipulation of like, well, you can't maybe financially bring anything to the table, but I am like me. You can tell me, I'm a good listener. You can tell me anything. I can literally carry it. Like I'm that emotional, vulnerable support when I'm in relationships, which is totally the opposite from my like weird introverted self. So it's like, yes, those relationships help me grow in that way, but the things that I take on personally, it's a lot. Yeah. And then it's like, just because I didn't do something financial, it's kind of like this weird manipulation of like, well, what did you do? And it's just like, I never asked you to do anything, like.
But then you're the ass for even saying that.
Right, but it's like you were so willing, and it's like that's how I figured out that most people that I've dated have this weird pity, and most of my friends that I have this weird pity because of the way that I was brought up, which is unfortunate because it's like, I'm a pretty genuine person.
You're a dope person.
You know,
okay?
I'm pretty easygoing.
You're dope.
You know, I'm pretty chill. You know, I feel like I'm easy to get along with. So having those, like, even now, like, just going through what I'm going through now, it's like, you want to reach out, you want to have those relationships, you want to have people close to you, but I feel like that's just going to be something I have to work on probably until the day I die, because you just want to love people, you just want to give love. I'm a giver, so of course I attract manipulative people who feel like, you know, if I take care of her and give her somewhere to live, I could control her.
Yeah.
You know, I could do whatever. So
I think that goes back to what you were saying earlier. It's like what is the saying? The saying a pretty girl will never be home go without or whatever.
Yeah.
And so
that's true.
And so
what?
yeah,
I feel like that's true.
Because as you were saying earlier, like males have a tough time. If you're a male and you're out there struggling, you need to pick yourself up. Be a man. Be a man.
You know.
But a pretty girl going out there, let me help you. Everybody don't get treated like that kid on Blindside.
No.
Like,
if
we
I was a male,
we don't have Sandra Bullock coming by picking us up.
That's so true. If I was a male, I would be homeless. Like, I would be homeless and I wouldn't still be in school. Like, looking at my brother, very similar situations. You know, we both struggle with the same thing, and he's dealing with that. Mm-hmm. So the fact that, you know, a lot of people don't want to say it, but the fact that I am a woman, the fact that I am attractive, have saved me from a lot of different situations, you know? And I see my brother in his situation, nobody's going to be willing to open up their home to a fucking 27-year-old man who didn't go to college. Right? Even if he went to college, I still feel like it will still be that kind of sexist. Still
like, you went to college. Yeah. Why don't you have it figured out?
What did you do?
You understand a degree does not guarantee a job.
Right?
Yeah. Can we put an exclamation point, all of that? That does not guarantee a job. You spend thousands. We're coming out of school with as much debt as a down payment on a house, buying a brand new car off the lot.
Yes.
And you're still not getting a job, but let that 6 months be up. They want that $365.
Right. And it's
I'm like,
it's so easy.
Like, it's cheaper to go to jail.
I mean, you're going to get food. You're going to get a place to lay your head.
Yeah.
You may even make a friend.
Yeah, right?
You're gonna probably end up in jail. And that's what happened to my brother. And even, like, recently when I was experiencing homelessness, I was staying in the shelter, and I ended up staying with someone who I used to date. And I feel like this person, I would have never stayed with this person if this person didn't have some type of control, some type of manipulation, some type of pity towards me. So, especially, we did not have a good relationship. You know, the relationship was toxic. It was abuse. It was emotional and mentally abusive. And then dating when you have mental health, a lot of people just don't understand that, especially when they don't come from that. So they feel like, I need to save you. I need to put you in this position. And I've never been in a relationship where someone pushed me to get so much help, but also brought so much of that onto me. So I was in and out of the hospital. So that was like for the past 2 years, that was my relationship with them. So getting out of that and getting back into school and kind of gaining back that, and then experiencing homelessness again, and then they finding out and being in an extremely vulnerable state, of course they're going to take advantage of that and try to give that to you. But then on the other end, you're still trying to get with me. You're still trying to offer that control that was there from the beginning, something that I felt like that I was running with. And then it became, well, you know, something, you know how something's small, but there's more there. There's bigger other things, factors there. Then you let that small thing, and it's just like, and this person has kicked me out multiple times on multiple different occasions because they know that they have that control to just be like, well, you know what? I'm going to just kick you out. You know what I'm saying? So I've always dealt with that in relationships, and it's kind of like being dehumanized by multiple people because you pity me and you felt like, oh, if I help her, then it's going to be this way, when it's a completely different situation, because I could have stayed in the shelter and worked it out, but it was just like, please, 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 let me help you, let me help you. I would never do that. And even though having that heart, because someone who's manipulative, they know that they've done good for you, so you're going to think about that more than what they did to hurt you.
Or is that survival?
I think it's survival.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because it's very unfortunate, and get her on contract next time.
I'm gonna just stay away.
Stay away. But if you had to go back, get her on contract.
Absolutely not. But it's really hard because I am not a person who values having an ego and someone who values like my pride, like shoot, tear that shit down if I gotta do what I have to do. So I feel like experiencing homelessness at this time in my life and the way that I experienced it, because it was just easy, because it was like staying at my friend's place, crashing on their couch, or sleeping in their room, sleeping in their bed, sleeping at their parents' house, when the breaks was coming up. So not being able to do that and kind of expecting that, of course, like I experienced homelessness in a different way, and it's like, I'm 24 now. I'm not 19. I can't just go crash on this person's couch. I'm 19. I'm 24 now, so shit is different. Like life came at me like this at that moment, and it was just so hard to like accept it. And me talking about this now, I feel like I'm even realizing like, failing to plan is another thing, but I know that comes from just a long line of just not really understanding, like,
not knowing how to plan.
Not having those skills.
Yeah, like, a lot of times, like I think that's what parents are supposed to teach their kids. Like the parents prep their kids when they're leaving for care, so they're supposed to prep them. Okay, are you saving? Because you're gonna need money when you get out of here. Or they go with you on those college tours and make sure that you're set. I was lucky for me. Like I had she's now my mom, my adoptive mom. We did an adult adoption. But lucky for me, I had her to help me move in, because my story was kind of different, but she helped me move in, and she saw stuff that I needed, and she went out and bought it. Her mom and everything, they helped. Like I had the support that I didn't know that I needed, because like a lot of stuff just wasn't taught or whatever, and that's because your biological family is supposed to teach you that when you transition from care. You're supposed to teach your daughter, your son, what to look for, what not to do while you're in college. Don't get that credit card because they're asking you
I got that credit card.
You got that credit card?
I was paying rent with the credit card.
Really?
Yes.
One. Don't get multiple.
I only had one, but I maxed that shit out.
Really?
I had to pay my rent. I was like, so can you pay bills with this? They were like, yes. I was like, bet.
Is that still affecting you? Like,
right.
No, I haven't had a credit card since then.
You paid it off?
No, I didn't. But it's there.
Listen, you're living and you're learning.
I'm gonna get it one day.
Yes.
I'm gonna get it after once I get out of school and I'm more established with my career. I'm gonna get that. But thank God for that credit card, because I was paying rent with that.
Wow. And so you in college and you had to move. I know that because when I first met you had like very long hair.
Oh yeah,
and then you had a break. What was that? What was that moment or what have you?
So
and I just like to say the reason why we're talking about this, because I know you're very big on youth and focusing on their mental health and things like that.
Yes.
Because that's very important. And a lot of times kids coming out of care, they once they don't have to see a counselor. I don't have to see a therapist.
It's lit.
I don't have to take my medicine or whatever. Like I am the person that I'm wholeheartedly against a lot of different medication. Now, I do understand that medication is needed sometimes in order to get you to a point where you could deal with whatever it is that needs to be dealt with. But I hate medications. But to just go cold turkey right after you get out of care because nobody's there to supervise you, so what was that breaking point that made you go Britney Spears?
Okay, so after I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, that was like devastating. Like, I didn't even know how to deal with it. Like, I called my grandma, I called my family, and like, hey, like, this is what's going on with me. And, you know, it was a dark time. And at the time, I told you I was, like, in that really bad relationship that was crazy. And this person is pushing me to take my medicine and to whatever. But I wasn't stably on the medicine because, you know, I didn't get the aged out Medicaid, and like I need to go do that now, but I haven't.
Yes,
I haven't.
I've been driving you around this whole time. You ain't going down to get your medicine.
I was supposed to do it. I just got a MARTA card. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. But at the time, I didn't have it, and you know, it was hard for me to stay on one medicine because I was going to Grady outpatient when I would get out of the hospital, and then when I wasn't on my medicine for a while, and I was having a lot of manic episodes and being suicidal, I would end right back into the psychic work. So it was like that cycle. It was like, I'm on my medicine, I'm fine. I ran out of medicine, or it's not working, and then I'm getting a fight with my ex-partner, and then I'm back in the psychic work. So that was the cycle that I was in. And then once it got so bad to the point where it was like, I got out of the hospital, you know, and it was just weighing on me. I was just thinking about everything that I've gone through and why did I have to go through this? And then I'm trying to like just get myself back. But I had this really good counselor at that time. And she really worked with me on coping mechanisms. Mm-hmm. Like, she's like, yes, you're taking this medicine, but also let's talk about how you're dealing with your emotions because you are bipolar. And like, I don't think you know how to deal with it. Mm-hmm. So we came up with a plan to establish how to go about dealing with bipolar when I am manic, or when I'm just experiencing extreme emotions, or when I'm feeling suicidal. I feel like when you're in care, it's like, okay, let's try to prevent you trying to kill yourself and you cutting yourself up. Like, let's prevent that,
yeah,
you know?
In my house, because of liability.
Instead of the other side of the whole dynamic of just like dealing with when you're feeling manic and like, you know, what's actually going on with the chemicals in your brain and the trauma that you experience. Like, let's, you know, not just sitting down in therapy and telling you about my life story and then like you tell me it's going to be okay in this weird way. So that was really helpful. And like, I came from therapy after I got out of the hospital, and one of someone I knew, I was just like listening to Frank Ocean. I took their razor. I was to Frank Ocean, blonded. So I literally just cut my head because I was like, you know, I just want to get this energy. I just want to stop this cycle of like not taking care of myself, allowing someone who is manipulative and controlling make me think that I'm not okay, even though I know I could be okay and I can get out of this situation. So I literally just started cutting my hair off, and then I dyed it blonde the next day because, you know, Frank Ocean Blonde, the album. So that was me.
I feel that, though.
That was like my coping mechanism, and I still do it to this day. Like, every time I shave my head, I think about, you know, the suicide attempts and the self-harm that I went through. And it's really just like a healing process of just continuously to shed that energy off and just be completely vulnerable, completely stripping myself of my identity, because I shave my eyebrows too. So it's really a coping mechanism. Like, a lot of people like in the industry and the work I do, they think it's cool. Like, oh, like, you're just like this cool, like, alien, like, bald girl.
No,
you're
not
so
alien,
cool.
not alien.
Bald girl.
No way.
Yo, they be going in on me. Like, they're just like, you're so cool. Even on Instagram, they're just like, you look amazing. This is the look. And it's like, no, like, this is literally.
This is life.
This is a coping mechanism that I deal with my bipolar disorder. Is just, even though it seems crazy, that's one of my coping mechanisms.
I didn't even realize you didn't have eyebrows until you just said that. Now I'm looking like...
No, you can't.
Right, I can't unsee this.
Yeah. It's usually bald. I'm probably going to cut it when I go home, but I like to keep it shaved. And it's helped me so much. And even when I was in the shelter, my hair was like growing out. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, wow. In a way, it was like I needed that growth in the shelter when I was in the shelter. Even though my hair was growing out and I wasn't completely bald, I needed that growth. Like, I told my friends, because I didn't tell them that I was in a shelter, I told them, I was like, I had to go through that. Like, I had to go through that to understand, like, the cycle that I'm in, to understand, like, how I need to plan next time. And I worked so hard to get myself back in school, because when I went to Anthony, like, a few months ago, I was not going to class. I was battling a drug addiction, you know? Like, it was so much going on. And I literally just came to him and told him, yo, help me, I'm scared, like, I need help, like, you know what I'm saying? So
that, you just stayed in my office for hours.
I was like, I'm not leaving, I don't know what to do. So even though, like, yes, I could have dealt with it on my own, but sometimes it's just nice to just talk to someone, and sometimes it's just, you need to go through those traumatic moments where I'm in a shelter and people are fighting over food and stealing your things, and my hair is growing out and I can't shave it because they think I'm going to cut myself. It was just like, even though in the moment I didn't appreciate it, I like totally understand what I need to do now. And now I'm in school. My bill is only $400. I'm back on campus, you know, like, my GPA is going to go up. Yeah, thank you, Miss Wanika Thompson. Thank you, Anthony. You know, so I'm back in school. But I think things are going to be different this time, especially now that I'm really working on being sober and really just trying to, like, just have a different life that I never seen, you know? So that's where we're at now with the bald.
Yeah.
With the bald.
So I'm a... All right. So, wow. So intense. So one of the things that that you went through or talked about is the shelter or whatever, and you have it. Was it the Underdark or the
Underworld?
The Underworld.
Yeah.
What was that like?
So I've never actually physically lived in a homeless shelter before, but that situation for me kind of felt like when I was back in the group homes when I was younger. It's just like people fighting, people screaming, you're waking up at 5 a.m. every day, people stealing your stuff, fighting over food. I'm a vegetarian, so there was no vegetarian food. It's kind of like it was overcrowded, so there wasn't like I didn't have a room when I was there. I had to like sleep on the floor in the hall. It's cold. It literally reminded me of when I used to be in the group homes growing up. So it was triggering. Like, it was really triggering. I don't even think I knew what I was getting myself into. I just knew that I needed the help. A lot of the staff, even they told me before I left that they felt like they didn't need to give me any extended or extra attention because I was in college and I was the oldest one there. So that really hurt me. Like, that really hurt me because, you know, I thought that I could gain a lot more from what I actually gained from it. Mm-hmm. So, of course, like, leaving that placement and going to stay with the ex that was kind of, like, not good for me made sense because I was, like, extremely vulnerable. So, yeah. And when I speak of the underworld... So pretty much what the underworld means to me is just like a dark place where people who kind of been pushed out of society, people who kind of turn into drugs and the music industry and just like the dark side of society that you don't see in the social light. That is like a place where a lot of people who are like misfits go or end up being in this dark place where you can kind of feel apart, or it's kind of like a void. It's kind of like the rabbit hole. So the underworld for me was doing the work that I was doing at the time with DJing and modeling and just getting into a lot of different things and just hanging around with a lot of different people. I felt like a lot of times I would just felt like I was in the underworld. You know, I was just surrounded by people who didn't really care for me. You know, they kind of was just around me for different motives because they had their own motives. So I feel like that's the underworld. It's just like you can't be a giver and be in that state of being for me.
Yeah, and what bothered me one was because I had to drop you off there. I thought I had never been inside the place. I haven't met like any of the staff there or anything. And like when I pulled up, I'm not gonna say the name of the place, but when I pulled up to the place and like nobody answered the thing.
It was janky.
Yeah. and then this kid walk up inside if I had a gun,
he's like, I live here.
Yeah, he would have got shot because he just walked up like. It was so sketchy.
I was just like, I can't say anything because I have to just keep myself humble, and not let my pride fuck up.
Yeah, And so even take you in there and drop you out. Like from what I how it's presented and to actually seeing it, like I was like, oh my gosh, like
such a dark
like. Is this a jail? Like I literally thought it was a jail. Like
there's a jail over there though.
Yeah, and like it literally had a cage. It had security and everything. Like I was like, I understand this is a shelter for homeless teens, but this feel like a jail for delinquents or whatever. And like I did not like. I wouldn't recommend that place ever again. Like, no. I don't know. Like that.
I would not recommend that place.
Yeah, that was.
And
was
even
awful.
when I was there, like the staff was like, "Someone like you, I just don't really understand why you're here. Yeah. Like you should have went somewhere else. You should have figured something out." Like the staff was coming up to me saying, "Like you're a very sweet girl. You seem like you got a lot going for you. But." I don't even understand why you're here. Mm-hmm. Like, you should have went to this place. So I'm just there like, wow, like, what the fuck is going on in here? Like,
yeah, and I think you brought up something very very important. It's like because you were older and because it seemed like you got yourself together, that means that
because I was in college.
You didn't need attention. And I think some kids in foster care, they get that because they're able to cope and do everything and able to sit by themselves and not cause a scene. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that they don't need attention. They probably need the most attention or whatever.
Literally, it's just because I'm extremely introverted and because like I know how to open up and I know how to speak for myself. That took a long time for me. Like this is new, this version of myself that's very calm during situation, that knows how to speak, like say what I need, say, just have a conversation with someone. Just, I don't know. I just felt like it was kind of like, they kind of just felt like I was good because I was going to go back to college. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, that was just really extremely difficult being there. But I felt like I really needed to go through that. Like, I really needed to go through that to just understand, like, there's a lot of girls that was there, a lot of people that was there have experienced foster care. Or have experienced homelessness. A lot of people that was there have been there multiple times because you can stay there for like 6 months. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was just like, I don't want to make friends. I don't want to converse with someone. I want to just kind of like get my head right, so I can make sure that this does not happen again. Like I had my job lined up, but my main focus now is just making sure that like that doesn't happen again, that I make sure that I figure out a way to cope and plan for the next transition a lot better than I never probably really have ever before. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know that like working with you, Miss Winika Thompson, and certain people through the scholarship, I know that like it's going to be a lot better this time.
Who is that? That's in Sorrow, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Miss Monica.
Yeah, they're awesome. I like.
They
are.
I
like it.
She's always calling me. She's like, Jasmine, are you still alive? Like,
and in Sorrow, they provide scholarships for young people who are transitioning from care. They're very good. We've been working with them, doing a lot of different things, and so hopefully we want to continue that partnership and do some more things or what have you. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about, I guess, your business. Like you are kind of like your own brand. So you are a model, you're a DJ.
Yes.
what does it take to like? How did you get into modeling?
How I got into modeling, I always used to get scouted out like online. I used to like post my pictures. I used to just post my pictures on like different websites, different scouting. I would go to the mall, I would get scouted out, and I just always wanted to get into modeling. That was just something that I always wanted to do. So there was a few agencies that I was gonna sign to, but I was just kind of like seeing some other models, and they went through their thing, and I had some friends that signed to agencies, so I was just kind of like, I don't think that would be the best decision for me. So I remained independent. Once I went to SCAD, being that they have a big fashion industry there, big fashion scene there, I got super involved. I started doing runway and making money off that. I started doing photo shoots for all the photographers.
You did runways?
Yeah,
I didn't know this.
When I was younger and like, yeah, I was doing runway with a friend of mine who was also a model who was doing runway, making money that way. Like, that's how I was making money on the side of, like, when I was at SCAD. So I was doing runway, making money that way. And I was doing photo shoots for all the, like, photography students. But some of the photography students would actually pay me. So that was when I was like, oh, okay, I kind of like this. You know, I wasn't as good as I am now, but, like, I don't know. I was always doing photo shoots. I was always just trying to take pictures as much as I can. So that's really how I got into modeling. Because when I first started modeling, I'm pretty shy person. It's probably hard to tell, but I would just get in front of the camera and I would just be like, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do with my hands. So yeah, getting into modeling that way was, I just always took pictures. I've always been consistent, and I don't know, I just really like to express myself through imagery and stories, and expressing all my, like, all the different people that, like, live inside my head just get to come out. Yeah, so.
And so what about DJing?
Oh my God, DJing. So DJing, I never used to be into hip hop. I used to be really into techno, and a lot of techno artists, they don't like perform, they just like do a DJ set. So I've always been like infatuated by like techno music and like house music, and reggae definitely influenced the startup of hip hop. Mm-hmm. And what started hip hop was DJ cutting and records and messing up on the turntables and the scratching and stuff like that. So I've always wanted to do it growing up. But when I started like being in the scene here in Atlanta, which is like a very like tight scene, like you see the same people. So seeing other DJs, I saw like, that was the first time I seen like black DJs doing like house music. Mm-hmm. So when I saw that, I was like, hell yeah, I need to figure out how to get up there. So just seeing them and watching them and listening to their mixes and kind of talking to them and asking them questions. They probably didn't know that I was trying to like, I was actually taking that advice from myself. Uh-huh. But I definitely was like sinking in and kind of trying to take that advice from myself. But my ex-partner was a DJ. And she would go to sleep, and I would like use her equipment while she was asleep, and I sucked. Mm-hmm. And every time Afropunk comes around, there's just like different parties, different events and stuff like that. So I did my first DJ thing with my ex-partner, and I remember I practiced for 3 days straight, like I didn't sleep, and no one taught me how to DJ. I just like, any equipment I could get my hands on, I was practicing. And I sucked. Like, I sucked so bad. But I just had the passion. So even now, I could use a lot of work. But, even with my stage presence and stuff like that, I just keep practicing as much as I can. Mm-hmm. So when I started doing, like, gigs at clubs and after hours and stuff like that, it was more of like an opportunity to practice for when I want to do festivals, and like even like getting booked in Europe is like really cool because I'm like, how do y'all know me? Like just from my mixes.
You got booked in Europe?
Yeah, a few times, but I don't have a passport, so I couldn't go.
Oh man.
Yeah, so and they just found me on SoundCloud. Like I have like listeners in Australia and like just random places. I'm just like,
really?
This is cool. Yeah. So that's really what just keeps me going. But, you know, the industry.
Yeah. Make sure whenever you get your passport and somebody book you from out there, make sure you have somebody go with you, though.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would never go by myself because I've never been out the country, so that's gonna be really different.
I'll be your bodyguard.
Okay, I need one.
Just make sure.
Get this check.
Yeah, say you have to pay for me and my assistant.
Yes,
I'll be your assistant.
Yes, let's do it.
So I know you are currently sober.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you start doing drugs when you started DJing, or was that beforehand?
Beforehand. Like I said, my parents were very open about drinking and doing drugs. So it was always given to me. Like around 11, I started drinking and smoking weed. It wasn't like anything major. Like I wasn't doing anything like hardcore. But I would definitely drink and do drugs. And then in middle school, I think I would do like pills every now and then that's how I kind of got into selling pills and got kicked out of school.
No way.
I was a bad kid. Like I was so lit. I don't even understand why. But yeah, so when I was selling pills, I was like, I had a period where I was like addicted to taking over-the-counter pills. Mm-hmm. So and then also when you're in foster care, like I said, with the mental health, I would take a lot of pills at once, and then I would take my own pills on the side. So I was using drugs. Like,
hold on, wait. So you was taking pills that weren't prescribed to you, and then you was taking your own pills that were prescribed to
and
you.
I had like multiple different pills at the time. So I would just get high off of just taking pills all day.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I would sneak them into the group home, sneak them into alternative schools, sell my pills. You know.
So it was an addiction, and then a way to support your addiction.
I don't even know. I didn't even realize that until like now, really, that it was like an addiction. Mm-hmm. But you know, I was definitely doing a lot of pills that wasn't normal, just to hallucinate a little bit. And people who have mental health issues, there is a higher risk that you can be addicted to drugs, and you can have a addiction because of, you know, some of the mood swings definitely helps copes with some of those feelings that you feel. Like drugs kind of calms you down. Well, it seems like it. Mm-hmm.
And so how did you go about starting your recovery from that addiction?
I just had a breaking point recently, last year, on the last Friday the 13th. I was the drug addiction that really hit me hard was I was doing a lot of ecstasy and a lot of shrooms, a lot of like everything. I was doing ecstasy, shrooms, acid. I didn't smoke weed. I stopped smoking weed like 2 years ago. I was just doing any drug that anybody would give me all at once. And even though my friends were using, they didn't really know, like no one knew how much extra I was doing on the side. Just from people, like I'll be DJing and people just give me drugs. And sometimes I would take a bunch of them, and sometimes I would save them for the next day. But I wasn't sleeping for like months. Like last semester, I wasn't sleeping for months. I would just keep doing drugs and keep DJing and keep going. And then I worked at a club, so it was easier also that way. Mm-hmm. Alcohol has never been a problem for me. Like I can have a drink and be fine, but it was the drugs that was like really, really serious. And I didn't understand how serious it was until, like I was saying, Friday the 13th, I ended up in the hospital because I was having problems breathing. And I had none of these people are my friends, but I had went to link up with some people that I kind of worked around. It seemed like they supported me. They wanted me around. And we was doing a bunch of cocaine. That was I did a lot, like every day, and once I realized that everyone doesn't do cocaine, sometimes they'll say it's cocaine and it's heroin. That was like a little scare for me.
So what's the difference for the audience?
Cocaine is just more. It lasts for like 15 minutes, sometimes 15 seconds, especially as much as I was doing. It doesn't really last that long. But heroin is a little bit more serious. It's very intense. I've never done heroin willingly, but when I started meeting heroin addicts, that's when I was like, I need to stop doing this with everyone. So I guess that's how I kind of went about it, was not, because it happened socially. So I had to make a decision, like, I don't need to just be out in the open doing drugs with a bunch of random people who think I'm a cool DJ. You know, so, and taking a bunch of drugs at the same time. So I was like, I told myself, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to just do this, but try not to do this and this and this and this and this. Because, yeah, the way that people was giving it to me, it was kind of crazy. And then also I felt like I connected, being an introverted person, I felt more social. It's literally like being in the underworld is literally like you get to be something that you're not, like, you know. And also dealing with bipolar disorder and the mood swings and the mania, cocaine was just like, it made so much sense, like, to be hooked on cocaine and then doing ecstasy with that. And once I ended up in the hospital for just doing drugs for like 3 months straight, and I just crashed because I don't know what these people are doing. I don't know what these people are using. And I see people all the time out just taking whatever from whoever, not really knowing where they're getting their drugs from. It's kind of sad because recently there was a younger girl who's like in our scene. I don't know how she ended her life, but she ended up dying, and it's kind of sad because sometimes I think like that could have easily been me, because I was going through my own thing and I was struggling with suicide and trying to overdose multiple times on just taking a lot of drugs at once. So, and it really was hard on me because I couldn't just go to someone and be like, I don't know how to stop doing all these drugs. And I don't know how to tell people to stop giving them to me because everybody's doing them. And nobody's talking about where it's coming from and what are we doing. I only had like one friend, my friend Chike, who he knew what he was taking. You know, he never was in a lot of different sketch situations. And I always appreciate him because he was one of those people that was like, I could talk to and I could tell him what was going on. But a lot of other people in the scene, it's not talked about. It's like, oh, you're feeling sad? Here, take some more drugs. Or here, take a drink, you know? And sometimes I wish, moving forward, I want to be that person that people could come and talk to me about what's going on in their usage. I put on my Instagram, I started talking about my problem with drug addiction. I got over 50 messages from people on my Instagram telling me how brave I am and how thank you just for posting that, because these people are using and because they're not talking about it. You know, and for so long, I didn't talk about it until now. And even now, it's kind of hard because you think, oh, people are going to think this of me. People are going to think this people are going to think this way of me. People are going to call me a crackhead, and people are going to judge me and not want to hang around me. But it's like, I don't care anymore because I saved my life, you know? Like, I was really in a dark place in the fucking underworld. Like, literally going to after hours where people kind of hang out late and do a bunch of drugs. It was one time where it was like I was just on so much shit and I just looked up and I felt like there was just a whole bunch of demons around me. And even though I wasn't talking about what was going on with me, it was like a weird way of coping. Like, wow, this is comforting? Why is this so comforting? I'm risking my life to just escape reality. That is what the underworld is where people go to escape the reality. It's like, it's a difference between going out and having a drink and dancing, but then, like, going out all night and doing drugs and drinking, and then you feel like you can only talk about what's going on with you if you're super duper fucked up, you know? So that was like probably another one of the hardest things I had to go through in my life. And then after that, having to almost lose everything, pretty much losing everything. Like, some of the friends that I used to have, I don't have them anymore. Some people that I felt like cared about me, they don't. And wow, no one tells you that when you stop doing drugs, although as much as I was doing, that you lose friends, that people just stop answering the phone, just stop picking up, just stop being there for you. So
because that was that one thing y'all had in common.
Exactly.
And you didn't know it because you was
high. You know, I've never been this sober in my life. Like I told you, I've been drinking and smoking. That's kind of where it started at 11.
Oh, wow.
You know, and then there was the pills. And then that never really stopped. I just kind of smoked a lot more. And it feels good. I feel great. I feel better. Like, every time I see people now, they're like, wow, you look so alive. I'm like, I am. Like, I am alive. Like, I was literally a zombie, like, for so long. So, yeah, it was, that literally, I literally saved my own life, you know? Mm-hmm. And even though all these things are traumatic and triggering, I just pray for all the young people who out there who have mental health and just self-medicate in that way. Just, you don't got to go to hospital and be in the psychic ward and take medicine. You don't have to be in that cycle, but there's another way to do it. There's also coping mechanisms that you could do. Like, I had to take medicine for a little bit, and then I slowly came off of it, but I was doing my coping mechanisms. But the only thing where I messed up is that I was self-medicating. And that's why I was like, I don't need those drugs. I got these drugs. So, you know, it was just like, yeah, it was a big decision to kind of like become sober and talk about my drug usage, because you see it all the time. It's normal, especially in the industry, especially young people. It's like, I don't want to be out and someone sees me doing a bunch of fucking coke with random people. And a lot of the situations that I ended up in, where I was DJing and I got assaulted by multiple men in multiple different situations. Gosh, I wish I could have, like, told someone what was going on. I tried to stop everything I did, try to move to Savannah, try to, you know, run away from the problem, but it just created more problems. And I feel like that's what led me to experience this recent homelessness and be in a shelter. And there's so many kids, I feel like, that can avoid that cycle that I went through. So I just hope, the only thing I really have to say for people who are using and going to after hours and just really in this cycle of the underworld and just really, like, taking a bunch of drugs at this different times and being around random people and doing drugs, it's just like, there's another way to cope with it. You just need to talk to someone. You just need a friend, and you can find that friend, but you can't do drugs and wake up in the morning and feel good. Mm-hmm. You can't do drugs and find and define success for yourself. Like, that cycle goes nowhere. And I've met, just DJ, I've met 50, 40-year-olds who still go to after hours, do drugs, sell drugs, because that's their life. Mm. And that's where it ends. And I've had so many signs for the universe that was like, this is not your life, but this is going to be your story, because there's so many people who are going to hear this and not judge me, but understand that, like, you could do things in moderation, but drug abuse and hard drugs like that all at once, it's going to catch up with you. Yeah. It caught up with me quick. I was like, shit.
Wow. So, when do you graduate?
I graduate probably next year. That's what it's looking like.
When is this a May 20 2021 graduation?
No.
Wait, yeah, May 20. I said it right.
2021. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's gonna take me a little bit longer because we ran into some issues, but
you have how many more credits left?
15.
You have 15 more credits.
Yes.
We're gonna get you through 15 more credits.
Yes.
All right.
We're gonna graduate. We're gonna go to grad school.
That's what I'm talking about. And you're gonna end up DJing for us or doing something like
international DJ.
Yeah.
International modeling. That's the goal.
That is awesome.
Yes.
Anything we missed that you definitely want to tell the audience? Any words of encouragement from your story? What should they not do? What should they do? Whether it's foster youth or foster parents or case managers, judges, or whatever.
It's random people.
Yeah. Whoever's listening to this.
The last thing I would like to say is that silence is the killer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, silence is the slow killer. So if you need help, or if you have questions, or if you need support, ask someone. And if you see someone who needs help, talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to give them all this advice, or you don't have to, have all the answers right then and there. But sometimes listening to someone and asking them genuinely, are you okay? And or just asking someone for help, or just going to talk to someone.
Mm-hmm.
There's someone out there who's going to listen to you and help you, because you helped me. You saw me. I was in a bad place. Yes. And look at me now. You got to go through it. You got to face those inner demons. You got to get out of the underworld. You got to you got to pick yourself up and keep going, because the only thing that's got me this far into a really good place is constantly moving forward. When you have a setback, sometimes you got to remove things, let things go, forgive people who hurt you. But moving forward is the only way to go.